Hello, welcome to the sound of the start of the season on the NTT20 betting show, sponsored by AK Bets, exclusive partners of the betting show for the entirety of the 2024-25 season, which begins in just a couple of days. This show is a betting preview of the EFL season. It will involve outright picks, title winners, promotion winners, relegation sufferers. George will have some fun with some top goal scorers as well. And there'll be some picks for opening weekend as well. So lots to cover. We have done our 1 to 24s already for each EFL league, full predictions of all three. So if you're not interested in betting, we would recommend that you listen to those. But starting today and every Thursday of the season on the betting show, George and myself try and sniff out value in the EFL and attempt to pick winners in a number of different markets. This show is for over 18s only, and we ask that everyone listening be gamble aware. Understand the risks that come with gambling. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. Never chase your losses. And head to begambleaware.org to brush up on the risks that come with betting. You all right, George?
Hi, mate. Nice T-shirt.
Awkward one, this.
Mm-hmm.
One for the YouTube viewers.
Yeah.
And all of these shows are going on YouTube as of this season.
So we've been doing the betting show. I think this is our 6th season or maybe 7th season of doing the betting show. This is the first one that we've ever videoed to put out on our YouTube channel in a professional studio, and we've turned up wearing the same T-shirt.
It's not the first time we've done that.
No, but it's the first time anyone sees us do that.
It's probably not the first time we've worn two very tasteful sort of pastel green T-shirts.
But the thing is, for you see that you're wearing the same T-shirt as me, and you're like, nice, good, I'm wearing the same T-shirt as a style icon. For me, it's like, oh no, what have I done?
Just going to let the words style icon hang in the air there. Yeah, do watch these on YouTube if you'd like to. That's an option for you now. Just expanding the offering this season on NTT20, the Monday pod, and on the betting show as well. The YouTube channel is easily searchable, not the top 20 podcast. George, AK Bets are our betting show sponsors for the whole season, and something that we're feeling very invigorated by.
Really exciting. Yes, listeners to the 1 to 24s would have heard this already, but AK Bets are our sponsor for the betting show all season. Bit of background for them, if people don't know, they're a relatively new operator. I'd say maybe a bit of a disruptor in the betting scene, where they're looking to look after their punters in a different way. Set up by Ante-post, who was formerly a professional gambler. He set up in his own image, based over in Ireland, but a Rochdale fan, so some EFL legacy, I guess, within that.
Rich history.
Poor current. But yeah, and he says that he used to listen to the show as well. Used to is a bit of a sad word. I don't know what happened. But yeah, they are sponsoring us for the season. Delighted to be working with them. And they've got a promo offer as well for listeners to the pod. So the promo URL is a bit of a jumble, but it's akbets.bet/promo equals NTT100. So if you go to that, then you get an offer which is if your first bet is an accumulator on football with a minimum of 4 selections, AK Bets will boost the profit gained on that initial bet by 25% in the form of a free bet up to the value of £100. T's and C's do apply, and if you sign up via AK Bets, if you get asked for a promo code rather than using that link, I should say, and you enter the promo code NTT100, then you will get that offer, which I think ahead of an opening weekend is quite a fun one. So if you have an ACCA of 4 or more selections, then yeah, the boost the profit by 25% in the form of free bets. So do make sure you check that out. Loads of good things with AK Bets this season. Not only are they going to look after you guys in a way that is very new. For example, all the selections we're going through today, we sent them over to the traders. The guys had a look at them, and they've managed to kind of match the best price on offer for the majority of those as well, which kind of shows the way they can be fairly nimble in terms of offering boosts and the rest of it. All of our bets every week are going to be up on site there as well, so you can find them really easily on the website. Please do still listen to the show or watch the show. Don't just think you can go on there and immediately find all the selections. And finally, they've also got a trader chat tool, which is quite fun. So if you go up on AK Bets, you're looking for a bet and you can't find one, click on the trader chat, ask them to price it up, and they'll do their best.
Good guys at AK Bets. They'll be with us all season on this show. Last year's outright pre-season show actually chucked up more good stuff than I remembered. I went back and listened. We had winners in the form of Southampton promotion at 13-5, Stockport top 3 finish at 6-4, Adam Armstrong each way placed top goal scorer, the 16-1 each way price, so we got the place money there. The those are my 3 winners. You also picked Oxford's 4-1 promotion. You picked Forest Green's
Biased.
10-1 relegation. And you mentioned Ipswich promotion at 4-1, but you also mentioned that the price had come in a long way over the preceding month, and that the value had probably gone. So fair few losers in there as well, of course, but actually, some quite good stuff on the show last season. So let's see how we do this time out. Championship outrights. George leads at the very top of the market. How are you approaching your championship outright picks?
So money has steadily come for Leeds over the course of the summer. I think they opened up kind of 5-1, 9-2. They're now 3-1 with AK bets.
Scary for Leeds fans. I know a few of them, and they're going, why? Why do we have to be such short price favourites here? We didn't win promotion last year. We've lost one of our best attacking players. George, can you shed light on why there would be such a short price?
Well, I think the reason why they're a short price is probably because the perception is that last year they got a points tally that was good enough to normally get you promoted, and they were probably better than the 3 teams that got relegated last season in terms of, I think, Leeds, in terms of ratings. If you look at the way that people would rank these teams, Leeds were perceived as being better than them when you consider that the 3 teams that come down lose key players and probably are worse off than they were previously, and the general quality of those teams coming down isn't particularly high. I think it makes sense. I think we had Leeds first in our 1-24s, and at 3-1, I think they're still value. Like, they are the selection that I would go for here. And yes, in an outright market, it seems incredibly skinny, but you also have to remember that 3-1 is still a 25% chance of winning the league. People talk about short price favourites as if it's a foregone conclusion, and because they're 3-1, we should expect them to win the league. That's not the case. At 25% is still an outside chance. However, in my mind, this isn't a particularly deep division this year. There aren't that many challengers. I think there are massive question marks, even though I think, Burnley's squad is, as I said, in the 1-24 was a hot mess, but quite a good one. It's still going to take some navigating. With Luton, their promotion was incredible, and this is still kind of uncharted territory for them to try and challenge for the title. And after that, you've got a lot of teams, Sheffield United with the takeover, brewing, Middlesbrough, Coventry with no parachute payments. That Leeds, in my mind, are clear on quality, clear on in terms of having a manager who's delivered 2 promotions, clear in terms that last season their performance level will probably be good enough to win the league this season. And so I think 25% is still misrepresenting where they actually are, where I would have it much, much shorter. You look at League One and you see Birmingham are now 15-8, 2-1 to win the league. Do I think Birmingham have a better chance than Leeds of winning the league? Definitely not. I think Leeds, in my mind, should be a shorter price than them. So it may not be particularly sexy, but that's not why we're here. Obviously.
You're a style icon.
So, yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. Leeds at 3-1 in the outright market with AK bets is my first pick.
Okay, fair enough.
And I also wouldn't put. I mean, it's fairly grim and you're tying up your money, but I wouldn't put you off backing them each way at 3 places at 3-1. So a fifth of the odds, you're only getting half your money back if they place, but it's a bit of an each way steal in my mind.
Yeah, I'm a bit freaked out at the top of the market. I'm freaked out by Leeds. I'm freaked out by the uncertainty surrounding the 3 clubs coming down from the Premier League, and it's the same every year. They quite often feel like a hot mess at the start of August. They quite often look like hot. I'm going to have a chunky bet on Coventry top 6 at 7-4 with AK bets. I'm going to have a very small bet on them to win the league at 16-1. On the 1-24s, we had Cov finishing 3rd, and I said that if those Premier League teams are in poorer shape than the 3 last season, who were that was a strong group in Leicester and Leeds and Southampton. If these 3 teams are in poorer shape, and it looks like that, it feels like that way at the moment, then it's all up for grabs, probably for Leeds United, but if not, Coventry are the ones that I think from the existing pack could come on strong. The likelihood is that 1 or 2 of the teams that have come down will be strong. There hasn't been a team that's won this division outside of a parachute payment team for like 4 or 5 years. I think it was Leeds under Bielsa who did it last. I just can't work out between Burnley, Luton and Sheffield United what is noise and what is signal. I think anyone who feels they have an incredibly strong steer on any of those 3 teams, well, clearly it just has incredible self-belief, and I would be jealous of that level of self-belief, because Burnley, hot mess, Scott Parker, 40 contracted senior players right now, need I say any more? Luton, Are they able to play the role of Big Cheese? It's not a role that they've played before. And there are rumours of a style change, a different playing identity, which on the one hand makes sense, on the other hand makes me a little bit nervous. Will they lose a bit of Luton Town identity? Will it be the right way to play at a tight place like Kenilworth Road? I'm a bit nervous about that. When it comes to Sheffield United, some great bits of the squad, some huge holes in the squad right now. Again, a system change. Wilder's 3-5-2, potentially no longer. Him overseeing all of this could be amazing. Wilder and Sheffield United is a match made in heaven. Or is it? It could be carnage. It could end in tears quite quickly. So leaving aside those three and Leeds makes me want to just be with Coventry. And I think the 7-4 top six is what I like most, because I still believe, even if you ignore those four teams, that they will be in the top two of the other 20. And if we're on the 16-1 title, then there's just a chance that we could be taken all the way to an exciting 16-1 winner. I just like them a lot, Coventry, as explained in the 1-24s. I think they are a club whose progression has been incredibly sturdy and impressive and repeatable. They had a great season last season, considering the departures that they had the season before. And I think that the way that they've built the squad means that we can expect a jump up in quality, in sturdiness, both defensively and going forward. I think Robbins' tactical style allows them to play in a different way in different situations, and I trust them to be fairly defensively strong when necessary. But also, I like the additions of Mason Clark and Thomas Asante. Sakamoto comes on for a second year, Wright and Sims as well. I really think this is going to be a strong team. So Coventry, top 6 at 7-4 is probably my biggest stake, but a small bet on them to win the league at 16-1 as well.
Yeah, two more I want to get with at the top end of the market. Sheffield United promotion at 5-1. This is a bit of a roll of the dice, because it wouldn't be a massive shock if things don't go well. But I think they're being slept on a little bit in terms of they're a side who 2 seasons ago won promotion out of this league. The takeover noise and the issues around that seemed to kind of knock out their price massively early on in the summer. I think the idea there was they're not going to be able to do any business until the takeover goes through, but that's clearly not true. I think in Kiefer Moore, they've made a really smart signing, someone who's incredibly reliable as a target man and a goal scorer in the Championship. I think in Callum O'Hare, they've signed one of the best attacking players in the whole division. In Harrison Burrows, they've signed one of the most exciting, technical, I assume he'll play as a fullback, but he's so versatile from League One.
League One's player of the season.
Exactly. So it's eye-catching business. Chris Wilder's stock has fallen dramatically, but I'm not entirely sure that's fair. It feels like at the moment, with what's going on at Sheffield United, the environment for him to work in is kind of perfect, where he's been given the keys basically, and that is when he normally gets the best and out of a side. And he's someone who's won promotion out of this league before with them. So I think for them to be as big a price as they are seems wrong, and it wouldn't be a massive surprise to me if it takes a couple of weeks to be like, oh yeah, they're actually a very good side here, a team that we have seen Norwich, Watford make a meal out of relegation from the Premier League, but I'm not entirely sure Sheffield United are in as bad a spot as they are. And with the takeover seemingly set to go through at some point in the next couple of months, it would be no surprise if they're able to really bolster their squad in January too. So I wouldn't be backing them at a short price to finish top 6. I wouldn't be backing them to win the league, but I do think if they are a lot better, then the promotion gives you the possibility of backing them to finish in the top 2. And if they do finish in the top 6, there's no way they're going to be 5-1 or anything near it in a playoff campaign. So I think that's one way to play it. I also just think the 11-2 about Swansea could be a little bit big as well.
Promotion.
No, top 6.
11-2 top 6.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It was a terrible start to the season under Mike Duff, which didn't go well at all. Luke Williams has come in and immediately endeared himself to the Swansea fans. It feels like they're going into the campaign with a lot of positivity. He is someone that I'm willing to basically take an 11-2 chance on, that he's really quite good. You look at what happened in Notts County, him taking them from the National League up into the top end of League 2. You look at what happened in Notts County after he left, everything fell apart very quickly. He's a process-driven manager who I think this summer, with the ability to work with a group of players over a summer, will have them well drilled to play the way that he wants to play, which wasn't necessarily the case at the back end of last season. Swansea obviously finished 6th and 4th, the back end of their parachute payment years. 15th and 10th the last 2 seasons hasn't been great, but the seasons haven't been great. I think that shows that Swansea are a side where if they do have a good campaign, they should be challenging for the playoff spots. So enough quality in the squad. We've seen them be be quite inventive in terms of the players they brought in this summer. As we always say, we're not going to pretend that we're experts in terms of these players, but from those who seem to know a lot about them, whether it's the striker who's been released from Bordeaux or the Portuguese midfielder, the reports are generally pretty sound, and it looks like they're getting their recruitment right. So 11-2, just about a top 6 finish, I don't think really reflects where they are right now. They'd have been way shorter than that this time last year, but I think they're in a much better position.
I actually am an expert on the K-League. I've got a podcast under a pseudonym, which I will be keeping under wraps. But I am an expert on Eom Ji-sung, who Swans have signed from Gwangju. And I look forward to proving that over the next few weeks when he comes to the boil. I'm going to go down to the relegation market, if that's all right with you.
Yeah. I'm
backing Portsmouth at 6-1 with AK Bets. Now, I think this just has to be backed at the price. It's just a huge value pick for me. No, we didn't have them in our bottom 3 in the 1-24s, and I didn't have them in my bottom 3 in my personal 1-24s. But I did say I could make a case for 10 teams getting relegated, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of those 10 did get relegated. So for the sake of transparency, I should probably tell you guys who I'm actually talking about here, so that I don't just claim at the end of the season like, yeah, I saw this one coming, guys, don't worry about it. And Portsmouth are part of this group. Basically, it's Preston, Hull, Blackburn, Cardiff, Plymouth, Oxford, Portsmouth, Watford, Millwall, Derby. For me, there are 10 teams, and I expect the 3 that go down to come from that. That's obviously not a particularly bold claim. I'm giving myself 10 options to be right there. But when it comes to Pompey, for them to be 6-1, the longest price of all of those teams that I've mentioned, apart from Hull City, for them to be, per the AK Bets market, the 11th most likely team to be relegated this season, I can't understand that. So here's the case for them to be relegated at 6-1. XG ratio in League One last season was 4th best. That's strong, and they had a really strong foundation. But from a numbers point of view, that doesn't scream fly up into mid-table in the Championship to me. Now, the team spirit, the character, the consistency of their performance, their out of possession, their defensive capabilities, that helped them outperform those numbers. So you have to decide whether you believe that those traits automatically translate and continue up another level. I think there's a chance that they get chipped away at when it's a little bit harder. But also, from a squad point of view, I mean, of the 12 players that played the most minutes for Pompey in their magnificent League One campaign last season, 6 of them are gone. 6 of them aren't Pompey players anymore. So that's Abu Kamara, Sean Raggett, Joe Rafferty, Joe Morrell, Jack Sparks and Alex Robertson. On top of that, their most important attacker, Colby Bishop, has had to take some time away to have heart surgery, and I don't know when he will be back. Abu Kamara is probably their most dangerous attacker outside of him, and he's a Norwich player. So Josh Murphy's come in and is a good replacement. Some other wide forward additions have been made. They are certainly not sure things, I don't think. At the back, Regan Poole should get back to an impressive level, but he's still out with an ACL injury. He's not back yet. So at the moment, it's Shaughnessy and it's Riley Towler. I just think they look light in all areas right now, other than in goal and on the wing. And if they don't start well, I mean, I'd be interested to know whether they just fully back Mousinho and allow him to take them down because they admire what he's done so far, which I would respect, or whether they try and sack him and try and spin the dice. Spin the dice.
Spin the dice.
Spin that dice. See what it falls on. I think there's not much between 10 or so teams, and for them to be the least likely to go down of that chunk, it doesn't fit with my own opinion at all. So value bet, Pompey, relegation 6-1.
Right. Watford relegation, 24th in our 1-24s. 5-1 for the drop. This price has kind of been going over the last couple of weeks. I still think there's loads of juice in it. I would say it's been interesting to see the reaction to the 1-24s from Watford fans, where normally if you take a team who are 5-1 for relegation, who not that long ago in the Premier League, who finished relatively clear of relegation, not miles clear last season, I was bracing myself for a lot of vitriol and angry Watford fans saying, what is this about? And the fact that didn't happen, apart from one or two people asking us about our bedroom, the fact that didn't happen, I think...
You might need to expand on that. Really confusing for those not on Twitter, asking us about our bedroom.
Yeah, that's true.
In response to a prediction on a podcast.
Just a guy, a disgruntled Watford fan who clearly wasn't very happy about it, who said that we were just two guys recording in our bedroom, so why should he listen to us? And I had to just get in front of it and say that we didn't share a bedroom, and that this lovely room here is sadly not our bedroom.
And if we did record in a bedroom, would that invalidate anything?
Absolutely
Should you
not.
judge people for that?
No.
No, studio space is expensive.
Correct.
Probably the value play would be to record in our bedroom.
Shall we do that? Again, you keep saying our bedroom. We don't have a bedroom. We don't share a bedroom. But yeah, so the fact that Watford fans generally, for the most part, were like, it's annoying and it's sad, but I can kind of see why they've done it, kind of emboldens me a little bit.
Nice.
Because it's very rare that you get that from a set of fans. All the reasons I mentioned in the 124s, I'm not sold on Cleverly. I think the recruitment has been shocking. They've lost lots of key players. It feels like the Pozzos, at the time of recording, it's been reported this morning that Alexis Sanchez is going to Udinese. Like, they're not Watford.
I thought he was going to Watford.
They're, when you own two clubs like the Pozzos do, sometimes it feels like they massively prioritise one over the other. And I think for Watford fans at the moment, they feel like that is going on right now. And it must be painful for them to see the business that Udinese are doing and look at Watford and say, where are our signings? Where's the money being spent on for us? I'd be surprised if Cleverly lasts past October, if I'm honest. I have no real faith in the Pozzos to make the right decisions at the club right now.
Quique Sanchez Flores?
Probably. And he takes them down. Like 5-1 for relegation, I still think is a huge price. And it helps us that, favourites for the drop are Oxford, second favourites are Argyle. Neither of us are particularly down on either of them, which means the whole market is quite appealing, as you can see by Pompey and Watford being put up. So that would be my relegation shout. Just to kind of tie off, so all these prices are with AK bets as well. So Watford for the drop is 5-1 with AK bets. Swansea 11-2, I think, is best price with AK bets for the top six. Couple top goal scorers. Ali, you have put your top goal scorer picks on the long shot, our betting substack, TLS. So if you want to get those, you have to subscribe, notthetop20.com. You can find TLS there. My two in the championship, Kiefer Moore, number one. He's 20-1, which is top price with AK bets. I think he's just one of those players that you can be pretty confident if he starts loads of games is going to score quite a few goals. He came in at Ipswich the back end of last season. How many goals did he score in 18 games?
10.
7. Good return.
Good return, yeah.
10 would be great.
A fair return.
I mean, 7 in 18 games.
I got overexcited.
And the minutes that he played would be, I think, at the very worst, get you a place in the upcoming campaign. He's been brought in very much to be Sheffield United's main striker. I think he will basically play most games when fit, or all games when fit. Scored 20 in the Championship in 2021 for Cardiff. I think he's kind of a rock solid each way bet, especially because you look at the top end of the market now, and you can see loads of players who are either going to be, as you kind of very eloquently put in your TLS piece, lots of players whose starting position isn't necessarily confirmed because their club's stacked with attacking talent or striking talent. Whether that's Matteo Joseph, who's, I think him being favourite for this is madness, I would say. Like, I think players being priced up in like single figure prices based off basically pre-season is lunacy. Latalath, I can understand why he's there, but Tommy Conway coming in to challenge him up front, and also I think a lot of recency bias in that because of his end to the season. Peru, Morris vying with Adebayo, Peru vying with Joseph. There's a lot of reasons to be against those at the top, and I think Moore looks one of, if not the most solid bet. And then it wouldn't be not the top 20 pre-season outright betting show if I didn't put up someone I've never seen play football before.
Yes.
Although that is a lie.
Oh.
Because I saw him come on. I didn't notice him, but I think I saw him come on against England in the Euros.
Yes.
Zan Salah, who is the new QPR striker, whose goal scoring record has been pretty incredible in the Swiss Super League. He scored 14 and 36 last season for Lugano, 16 and 30 the season before. And crucially, QPR just don't have many strikers. They've got Michael Frey, who isn't a prolific goal scorer. They've got Lyndon Dykes, who isn't a prolific goal scorer and comes into the season injured. I think it's been seen as a bit of a coup that QPR were able to get Salah, to the extent that I'm pretty sure he will start the season very much as their first choice striker. And if he is able to score a few goals early, I think he can really catch fire. And we know that even though QPR aren't, I don't think, going to be the most liquid attacking team, it doesn't really matter because he's going to be their key goal threat. He's 66-1 with AK bets, which I think for a starting striker for a team who don't have many other options, who we have finishing mid-table, has to be a bit of value.
Yeah, I think the price of the last two winners, Sami Smodics and Chuba Akpom, is enough to sort of really give you confidence to just basically pit it wherever you want at a long price at the moment when it comes to the Championship. The sort of norms of a Championship top goal scorer have been turned on their head in the last couple of seasons, and maybe they'll revert back to the mean, or maybe this level of football is just completely different these days. We will see. I am going into League One. I'm going to start with a promotion pick, and it's Charlton Athletic 9-2 to be promoted with AK bets. And this is because while there are questions about how quickly a team that finished 16th last season can be challenging at the top of the same division, I believe that with Nathan Jones in charge, if he has had enough time, and I think he probably has, to get things rolling from the very start of this season, I think there's no doubt that this Charlton side could be anything. Mm-hmm. They certainly have the budget to challenge with everyone except Birmingham City at this level. I think that the sort of shape and system that Jones is going to play, a 3-5-2 with seriously aggressive, athletic central midfielders, a group of quite young, physical, quick strikers, and also the nous of Chukwuemeka and Matty Godden in there as well. I think that as a playing style, it's going to provide them good coverage all over the pitch, certainly out of possession. That is where they need to improve, but I believe in Jones that he can get this group of players to be a really strong defensive unit, which they weren't last season. And consistent defensive strength is the foundation for a top side. Because even with the departures of Alfie May and George Dobson, there is still huge quality in the squad. There's that strong group of strikers that I mentioned. Leeburn is not in that conversation at the moment because he's still out injured. When he comes back, there's an embarrassment of riches up there with a Hadmay, with Leeburn, with Godden, with Anike, with Carnu and Campbell, the youngsters as well. There's Coventry and Doherty, Berry and Karoy Anderson in midfield, and then a big chunk of centre-backs. So I think that Jones can really change the whole energy of the club. I think he has actually already started to do that, and I think that maybe the rest of, neutrals maybe aren't quite up to speed with it. And I think if that's the case, it should be very, very powerful. That is obviously all best case scenario stuff. It's all pretty hypothetical at this point. Under Jones, after he came in last season, they won 4, they lost 2, they drew 10 games. Now that reminds me of John Mousinho and Portsmouth, who came in, Portsmouth underperforming, had a few months to turn the tide, very much did that, finished the season unbeaten in 11 games with 7 draws, so not getting the winning feeling back, but changing the vibe of the team, stopping losing games. And that could just be availability bias. That literally happened last season. A team that finished the season with a new manager and a lot of draws, then went and won the title. I just think that there's a good chance that could happen with Charlton. I want to be on them 9-2 promotion. If they really get rolling, I'll be regretting not being on board.
Yeah, 2 picks for me for the same team at the top end. I am all over Stockport. Unsurprisingly for those who listen to the 1-24s. AK bets have gone a big price here, 25-1 Stockport outright, which is a bit of a shame, to be honest, in my mind, because I'm like, why they're happy to go so big on my biggest fancy, because they're kind of 18-1 elsewhere, and 6-1 for promotion. I'm backing both, so 25-1 each way, 6-1 promo. Yeah, as I said in the 1-24s, I think they're echoes of Ipswich here, a team who are just way too good for League Two, who I think will make the step up seamlessly. I think their recruitment has been brilliant since we recorded our 1-24s. They've added Louis Barry to the side, who I think, if he is fit and healthy, will be one of the elite attacking players in League One, playing for Dave Challoner. Generally, their recruitment has been very good, adding some really good young quality to what we already know is a very high achieving team. I'm looking forward to seeing Fiorini. I'm looking forward to seeing Fevrier. There's just a lot of players in there they brought in who are exciting and should give them a real attacking impetus. And then Dave Challoner, a manager who is just a winner. He's someone who I think always gets a certain level out of his side. And the ambition of Stockport, the resources of Stockport, I think are because of Wrexham doing what Wrexham do, I don't think anyone's quite clocks on to the fact that Stockport are just as ambitious and maybe not as rich in terms of pure wealth of owner, but in terms of what the money that's going into the club, certainly have the resources to challenge. So, yeah, I think they will be I'd be amazed if they're still 6-1 promotion in 3 weeks' time once we've actually seen them take to the field. And then one other team I want to get with in League One are Lincoln, who are 130 with AK bets to finish in the top 6. Just missed out last season. I'm happy to get behind Skabala to kind of take them on a little bit further, Lincoln over the last couple of seasons have always been consistently consistently mid-table. Skubala came in and turned them into one of the best teams in the league, and that incredible run of form that took them onto the edge of the playoffs was borne out in the underlying numbers, where they had the best XG ratio in the league over the last few months of the season. Incredibly solid defensively, barely conceding any chances, very good going forward. I'd love to see them add a striker. I'm sure they probably will, to replace the goals of Joe Taylor. Maybe they're waiting to see if they can get Taylor back if he doesn't feature for Luton early on in the season. But I think at 100-30, that's grossly misrepresenting how good they were at the back end of last season, how good Ethan Aharon is, how good Paulie O'Connor is, who is still at the club, and maybe how good Michael Skubala is as well.
Ooh, let's see how we go there. Down at the bottom, I'm backing Shrewsbury relegation at 5-4. They're the second favourite in the market. Only Crawley a shorter price. And, 4 relegation places is just absolutely brutal. And I can't see Shrews getting above 4 teams. Their squad is really poor to my eyes. I like Paul Hurst, but I don't think Paul Hurst is going to be able to have a massive impact that carries Shrewsbury far above their squad strength, far above their budgetary reality. Basically, I don't think he can lead them to glorious overachievement. He did that 5 seasons or so ago with Shrews and took them to 3rd place in League One. I think that this division and what it takes to succeed in this division is very different now. And I think when things aren't going well, I don't particularly see him as being the motivator that can bring a whole club and a fan base and a squad all together to fight against the world, basically. I'm not sure if he is that sort of motivator. So, off the field, I don't particularly believe in the way the club is being run and the budget available when it comes to them being able to make big, impactful changes in the middle of the season if things aren't going well. I think if things start as I expect them to, they'll find it really hard to drag it back. And I think that a relegation is likely at 5-4. I'm backing Shrews to be relegated.
Yeah, my relegation selection is Stevenage at 11-4. Top price again with AK bets. As I said, in the 1-24s, I think this is a squad who are elevated way beyond their kind of ability level by an absolute expert in doing that in Steve Evans, and his departure from the club replaced by Alex Revel, who's got very little management pedigree so far, having managed Stevenage for the best part of 2 years and didn't really show much aptitude for the job then. By all accounts, a very popular guy and someone who I think the Stevenage fans and players were very keen to get on board, but that doesn't necessarily translate into performances. I think Van Couten's a massive miss at the back. Jamie Reid's still there at the moment currently, but they've been trying to add more firepower to their team. Jake Young being linked, but have failed to do so far. I think on paper, that Stevenage side is a side that would tend to challenge down towards the bottom end of the table. Yet Steve Evans' influence seems to be having a massive part to play in the price that they are, and it shouldn't at all. If anything, his departure should see that really factored in more so. Like, what price would Stevenage be for relegation if Evans was still there? Like, not much bigger than 11-4. So I don't really understand why they're such a big price to go down. So yeah, Stevenage to as we've seen in the past, look what happened with Cheltenham, albeit it took a season after Mike Duff left. Like, you see it fairly regularly when the protagonist for a promotion leaves and gets picked off. Generally, teams start to revert to the mean, and I think that'll happen with Stevenage. I've got 3 goal scorers here.
Come on, how many have you seen play before?
All 3.
Shame.
Johnson Clark Harris is 12-1. I think he should be favourite. I don't think Alfie May should be favourite at I think he's 9-2. I think it's a mad price for a player, albeit a very good goal scorer, but someone who is going to have a lot of competition for his place at Birmingham, who even lost his place for a time at Charlton last season. There's no guarantee that he will be a consistent starter for them. So for him to be that price, it wouldn't be a surprise if he wins it, obviously, and he's very good, but it's a crazy price in my mind. In Clark Harris, I think Rotherham, I'd be amazed, like absolutely amazed, if he isn't their starting striker to start the season. I'm sure that is why Rotherham were able to get him early on in the summer. He's a player that sat on the bench for the whole of last season. He's going to have no intention of doing that again. And I think you can forget that consistently when he plays minutes in League One, he scores loads of goals. We've seen that over a long period of time. He's worked with Steve Evans before. He's played at Rotherham before. I think he knows what to expect, and I think the team will be built around getting him to score goals.
Mm.
You know, Jamie Reid scored a lot of goals for Evans' Stevenage side, a player without a great track record of scoring. With Clark Harris, he has that. He's won this before, and I think he should be fav. A couple of other ones, a very kind of, with Ghassan Ahadme at 40-1, I'd almost say wait. Just give it a couple of weeks and just make sure that he is going to be playing up front, because I think for Jones, he could be someone who could score a lot of goals very, very quickly. I think this is the first time he's playing in an environment that will suit him, both in terms of style of play, but also the support and the consistent minutes that he needs. My one concern is that Charlton have a load of strikers. You know, they've got Miles Leaburn, they've got Matty Godden, they've got players who I think will challenge him for his spot, and therefore at 40-1, I'm a little bit put off by that, albeit I still think there's probably a bit of value there, but it might just be worth just seeing how he starts the season. Such a brilliant physical player in terms of his aerial dominance, but also a goal scorer with a good goal scoring rate. Finally, one I really like actually is Daniel Udo at 100-1, who has left Shrewsbury to join Wickham, and he is a player who I think his goal scoring record at Shrewsbury doesn't leap off the page. 13 goals in 46 and 21-22, 10 in 40 and 23-24. You have to remember he's been playing for a Shrewsbury side who do not score many goals and do not create any chances whatsoever. So moving to a Wickham side who under Matt Bloomfield will have aspirations to do so more, and it feels like he's been brought in to be that kind of missing piece of the jigsaw and be that goal scoring threat. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he has a much better goal scoring season. He was bought by Shrewsbury from Telford, having scored 19 and 39. He's a proper goal scorer. Like his role and his job in a team is to be that point striker and the player that is there to either run in behind if playing on the counter, which Wickham probably will do a fair bit, but also take up positions in the box to profit from the creativity of others. Slight worry that he probably won't be on pens, I guess, because Luke Lee here, I imagine, will be. But even so, at 100-1, I don't think you can go too far wrong backing a player who'll start up front for a team who have aspirations to have a pretty good season this season. I think Wickham fans are relatively confident that they will. So they're my 3 goal scorer picks in League One.
Name, Daniel Udo. Occupation, proper goal scorer.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that there is a sign-up code, NTT100, that you can use if you sign up to AK Bets today. You can just use the promo link that's in the description of this podcast.
You're not going to read it out again?
I'm not going to read it out again. Because there's a question mark in it, I just can't stop thinking of I'm Ron Burgundy.
There's an amazing clip. Who is it? Of someone on Radio 1 like 25 years ago reading out a URL for the first time, and they started off by saying http://. So not quite as bad as that.
Well, go on then. It is https://
yeah,
akbets.bet / promo equals NTT 100. And what is it? If your first bet is an accumulator on football with a minimum of 4 selections, AK Bets will boost the profit gained on that initial bet by 25% in the form of a free bet up to a value of £100. That applies to new customers who sign up to AK Bets, and T's and C's are accessible on the website. The promo code NTT100. In League 2, I love League 2. What have you got for me? Oh, don't love that face.
No, it's because basically there are 3 auto spots, right, and there are 4 playoff spots. So it's top 7.
What? Since when?
But that means I think you can have a swing at a few, and I've got 4 teams I want to get with.
Okay.
I think Donny outright at 9-1 is a bet. We had them first at 1-24s for all the same reasons. Best team in the league, or one of at least in the last half of last season. A manager who's won the championship in League One in the past with Hull. Really good additions. A big budget, and Chesterfield are absolutely a side I'm willing to get against, who are favourites for this in this market. I don't see why they would be the ones to buck the trend of teams coming out of the National League and then winning League 2. But I think Bradford 5-4 top 7 is also a really big bet in my mind. One for Ackers maybe. Bradford a data darling of last season, they weren't able to capitalise on that, but again, big budget, a settled side, a few quality additions, and a team that I would be really surprised if they weren't able to convert what was a pretty good platform from last season into something a bit more tangible this time around. Probably my favourite bet though is MK Don's promotion at 15-8. I don't see why they'd finish out the 7, in which case you're kind of rolling it on into the playoffs, but they have to be a shout for the top 3. Mike Williamson came in last season and had to deal with the cards he had to had to cope with the cards he was dealt.
Yeah,
Had
sometimes
to-
you've got to cope with the cards you're dealt.
Yeah, he had to play with the cards he was dealt,
Yeah.
and did pretty well with that. Given,
You have to play with the cards that you're dealt.
but he did well with it.
You can't do anything other than that.
No, but he did well with.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that he did that. That would be no reason
It
to.
was an impressive job he did.
Correct.
Yeah.
And having built a squad this summer to play the way that he wants to play, they should be better. The only reason I'm not putting them up in the outright market is just because they're going to play out from the back, and I do worry that teams at League Two who play a certain way lose too many games because they get picked off in doing so. But I think over the course of the season they will be dominant. I think MK Dons will basically be dominant in most games that they play,
Yeah.
and that will translate into a good finish. And then finally, I think Fleetwood promotion at 13-2 is just a bit big. A lot of narrative around the owner, or the change of ownership, the former owner being imprisoned, selling to his son. But I think in the face of the really good underlying numbers at the back end of last season, the really promising job that Charlie Adam did, still key players at the level in the likes of Ryan Broom and Danny Mayer that I think should be still capable of putting in good performances. I think they're just being a little bit written off. Well, I think they're being written off a little bit early. When in actual fact, I reckon they were the best of the relegated four last season, and to me look the best set to have a good campaign this time around. Obviously, with Forest Green last year, the squad didn't look too bad. There were reasons to think they might be okay, and it all unravelled very quickly, and that could be the case here. But just based on the evidence we have to hand right now, I think Fleetwood at 13-2 are being missed just a touch.
Yeah, League Two is good fun, and certainly the bet that I'm most excited about from a fun point of view, a stancey point of view, is Colchester outright each way at 33-1. AK Bet's joint best price there. And also Colchester top 7 finish at 4-1. I think in League Two it is proven that you are much more likely to catch a flyer out the rough. By which I mean a team.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I bet you did. By which I mean a team that is a bottom half team in the year before, and normally you see a team in the bottom half, you think, yeah, they look a bit better this season. Maybe I could see them, bumping up a few places, playoff push at best. I think in League Two we've seen consistently teams will win promotion that are not even in the top 10 in the betting quite regularly. I've got Stevenage in my mind from 2 seasons ago. I just had such a clear idea of how they were going to play under Steve Evans, the squad that he had built, and the fact that it all fit together quite nicely, and that it was the sort of football that in a normal League Two campaign, which last season was not, it's the sort of thing that can take you quite a long way. It's physically strong, it's sturdy, it's zeros and ones defensively. It's not necessarily being a really pretty technical team that's excellent in possession and leaves themselves exposed when they lose it or when teams set up well against them. It's much more about consistency of defensive performance and having enough at the top end of the pitch. And League Two was very different last season, but I think it's going to almost like revert back to its normal shape. The 2.98 goals per game last season, I think will come down massively. And I think that should suit a team in Colchester that I think are going to be gritty and strong and sturdy and exceptionally well drilled out of possession under the Cowleys. There are a couple of other teams that fit that bill too, to be clear, Wimbledon being an obvious one in my eyes. But I really think that the Cowleys and Colchester are a great fit. Incredible for Cole U to attract managers of that, or a manager and his brother of that calibre. But a time in their careers where they needed it as well seems to suit them geographically. They're very tied to that area of the country. And I don't think that they will be particularly flighty if things are going well. I think they would want to see it through rather than get tempted by a bigger name team, in League One, for example. They've lost a couple of players, as mentioned. Jaden Fevrier, I think, on paper, Kaimani Gordon could be a perfectly good replacement if you're looking for a wide, dribbly threat. Connor Hall has gone, but in comes Ben Goodliff and Tom Flanagan as strong, sturdy centre-backs, very Cowley in their mould. Cameron McGeehan, you lose goals from midfield, but you add Jack Payne, who brings that technical quality and goals from midfield as well. Matt Macy replaces the departing keeper Goodman. And I just think loads of clean sheets, not many goals conceded, and they've just got loads of attacking options for them to work with. So, Cole U 33-1. I think they could be the flyer out the rough in League Two. And it might become pretty clear early that I've got this completely wrong and that Colu are just in bad shape as a club and circling the League Two drain as they have done for the last few years.
I doubt it.
I don't think so. That's at the top of the market. What else have you got for me in League Two?
Well, I've got nothing because I think you're going to put up my relegation pick as well.
Am I?
Are you? In Cheltenham Town?
Cheltenham.
You go for it.
Yeah, for sure. A team that finished, or rather haven't finished 24th, the team that we picked to finish 24th in our pre-season predictions. Cheltenham, they're 10-1 with AK bets. They are the 10th favourite for the market, and we think that they're the most likely team to get relegated. In terms of League Two trends, Mark O'Hare, the legend that is Mark O'Hare, has us well covered here. In 8 of the last 10 completed League Two seasons, a team priced up at 10-1 or more has been relegated. So that's Southend, Notts County, Chesterfield, Leyton Orient, York, Tranmere, Bristol Rovers, Aldershot, and last term we had Forest Green, who are sort of 9-1, 10-1 as well. So despite the fact there's only 2 relegation places, and that is off-putting in some ways as a market, consistently there are teams that are not expected to be part of that duo that drop that are. And for me, it's Cheltenham Town. I think they instantly, despite being in League One last season and for the last couple of seasons, I think instantly they look like one of the worst squads in the league, in defence, in attack. I've not been very impressed with Mike Flynn in the last few jobs that he's done, and it's a group of League Two managers with some serious pedigree. And if I was to rank all the managers in the league, I wouldn't have Flynn particularly high up either. So I'm worried about that sort of gravity that seems to pull certain teams when they come down from League One all the way to the bottom of League Two. Cheltenham at a double figure price is worth a go for me. Cheltenham at 10-1. Sounds like you're keen on that as well. Any goal scorers?
Yeah, I think Cole Stockton at 25-1 with AK bets. Top price. Salford is a bet. Carl Robinson is a manager that we know is relentlessly attacking in his style of play. We've seen him in the past oversee players having massive goal scoring seasons. Matty Taylor being the most recent with Oxford. Matt Smith's output last season, albeit not all because of him, he was already scoring a lot of goals, but again under Robinson in the second half of the season started scoring a lot. Robinson will just be getting Cole Stockton to, I think, fire whenever possible. Yeah. As I said, maybe a detriment to the team, but he'll be the focal point of the attack. He's someone who scored a lot of goals at League One level. He's been fairly prolific in the past. He blows very hot and cold, but I think this is a good move for him personally, where I think he will be charged with being their main goal scoring threat for a team that I think will score a lot of goals. So at 25-1, that appeals. Then Dom Telford, kind of the forgotten man who won this a couple of seasons ago. He's at Barrow and he's 66-1. Only scored 4 goals last season, a lot of injuries over the campaign. I assume part of the reason why he's a big price is because Barrow perceived as being a relatively low scoring team, but Pete Wilder's out, Stephen Clements is in. Will that change? Very possibly. And with Telford having scored 25 goals for Newport back in 25 and 21-22, we know he can and is very capable of doing it. And if Barrow are going to be a more free scoring team, he could be the person to get the majority of them.
Great. Okay,
Good.
I think that does us for outright picks.
Well, we've also got, quite fun, the guys at AK Bets have priced up a match bet involving every single team in the EFL.
Hello. So
if you go to akbets.bet and you click on Championship or League 1 and League 2, you will see Leeds v Burnley, Borough against Coventry, Sunderland v Stoke, and there's one for every single team. So make sure you have a look at those. And we've chosen a 6-fold between us, where if you go to AK Bets, you go to Championship, you go to Outrights, you'll see NTT20 points match bet special, which is a 50-1 shot. It is 6 match bets that we chose between us whilst having a coffee this morning. And those...
Lovely bit of extra detail there.
Everyone likes it.
That's what sets you apart. I'd
2
say,
long blacks. They were?
2 long blacks.
Bristol City...
Keep them coming.
Over Derby. Very much no. I hate, as you know, no coffee after midday for me.
Right.
Bristol City over Derby. Swansea over Millwall. Cardiff over Watford, Stockport over Blackpool, Morecambe over Accrington, and Swindon over Cheltenham. 50-1, the 6-fold. If you want to follow us in, you can find that up on akbets.bet. And as Ali says, make sure you use the offer code, which is NTT100 when signing up, or click on the link below to sign up and use the offer code to get that ACCA offer as well.
Textbook, we are going to pick some opening weekend winners, hopefully.
Whoa, okay.
As in like winning teams.
Yeah.
I'm not guaranteeing winners.
Yes.
We do enjoy opening weekend though.
I do.
But I'm just going to recap the outright selections. I'm going to recap mine and then George will do his, just so they're all in one place. For me in the Championship, I'm interested in Coventry top 6 at 7-4, and then at a smaller stake, Coventry to win the league at 16-1, and Portsmouth at 6-1 for relegation in League One. Charlton 9-2 promotion, and Shrewsbury relegation at 5-4. And in League Two, Colchester United outright each way at 33-1, top 7 finish at 4-1, and Cheltenham relegation at 10-1. This might take a while, George. A lot of fancies.
Leeds outright for the title 3-1. Sheffield United promotion 5-1. Swansea top 6 11-2. Watford relegation 5-1. Kiefer Moore and Zan Salah 20-1, 66-1 for top goal scorer. Stockport outright and promotion 25-1, 6-1. Lincoln top 6 100-30. Stevenage relegation 11-4. Johnson Clark Harris, Ghassan Ahabmeh and Daniel Udo 12-1, 40-1, 100-1. Doncaster outright for the title and 9-1 each way in League Two. Bradford top 7 5-4. MK Dons promotion and Fleetwood promotion 15-8, 13-2. Stockton and Telford 25-1 and 66-1. The top goal scorer, basically all of those are best price you can get in the market from AK Bets because they're good lads.
Zan Salah's name scans really nicely into Kasabian's Shoot the Runner.
Correct.
And I can't think of anything else right now.
Sing it.
You're the king and he's your queen.
Okay. Spark Rangers.
Opening weekend.
Yeah.
Your favourite... Is it your favourite punting? I think final day is my favourite punting weekend. Opening day maybe your favourite punting weekend.
100%.
Of the season.
100%.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
So who's your nap? And then you can give me a next best.
This is basically because opening day weekend is priced up on effectively outright prices and last season's data.
Yeah.
And you and I have to spend genuinely hours poring over what's happened over the summer and re-rating teams in our mind. And I personally think that especially on a Tuesday when the game isn't until Saturday, our perception of where a team is more accurate than the outright markets. And that's why my nap is Bristol City draw no bet against Hull at 7-5 with AK Bets, where I'm relatively confident on Hull. I think they will do business in the next 3 or 4 weeks that will elevate their squad massively. But I did a Hull podcast yesterday, and the general consensus between me and the other guys on the show, the Hull fans, was that if the transfer window closed now, I think I'll be backing Hull for relegation at probably quite a short price. They've lost loads of key players. They've lost Philogene, they've lost Fabio Carvalho, they've lost Tyler Morton, they've lost Jacob Greaves for a mixture of loans returning and player sales, and they've barely replaced them with anybody of note so far. We've seen the guy come in from the Bundesliga, Zwei, who might be quite good, but has to settle in and arrive last week. They're really, really short of quality right now. And that is why I think they're a mad short price home to a Bristol City side who have done some quite nice recruitment, who brought in a couple of key players, but for the most part have a pretty settled side from last season where they were, at worst, pretty good. I think the way that Tim Volter wants to play with this heart attack football, you'd think will take time to translate anyway into genuine performances. I don't really care about pre-season at all. It's not in my thinking in this bet, but those who listen to this might care that by all accounts Hull have been terrible defensively in pre-season. And I think that if the way that Walter likes to play, which seems to be pretty high possession, will really fit into a Liam Manning team who we know love to play in transition. So yeah, I think Bristol City being odds against taking the draw out here seems like a really, really strong opening day one where reality and perception with Hull is just very, very different.
Yeah, I've got to wait all the way till Monday night for my nap. It's Luton to beat Burnley. And it's not just because I've missed these two teams and we haven't been able to cover them for the last 12 months. They're back. This was a Premier League fixture last season. I think there's going to be some real spice in the air at Kenilworth Road because, more so than if they had played any existing Championship team on opening day, they are going to want to beat the other, lay down a marker, put aside the relegation hangover, etc. I think that the fact that it's going to be hotly contested is good for the home side. I think the atmosphere at the Kenny is going to be top, and I think that suits Luton. Obviously, both teams relegated last season. Looking at the underlying numbers and results, Luton were a strong home side, or rather much stronger than they were away from home. Burnley, perhaps unsurprisingly, really struggled on their travels. So again, I like having the home side onside here. Now, Luton are a bit light at the back at the moment due to injuries, but a lot of this comes down to my perception of how the two teams have gone in pre-season, what their managers have been able to do in pre-season. Luton are going for a consistency approach. There's not been a lot of squad churn whatsoever. It's the same manager, and although I've heard about a little tweak in style of play, I am confident that Luton's shape and their structure is going to be pretty well drilled. It's the same coach, broadly the same group of players. They've had a lot of, it's just been quite a settled pre-season, I think. Whereas Burnley, with their amount of senior players in the high 30s, with Parker having to manage those players, sift through those players, try and work out who actually wants to be there and who doesn't, try and work out a starting 11 or a group of 22 in a system that suits them. I just get the sense that that's been chaotic, and Luton's has been much calmer. I think maybe in intangible terms as well. To start the season, I think Luton will have been able to build and maintain a sort of team spirit that I trust them to have. I'm not so sure I would trust in Burnley to all be singing from the same hymn sheet right now. So I feel that Luton are much more ready to start the season, play as a team and win football matches. I want to back them at 7-5 at that game on Monday night, 8 p.m. live on Sky. And next best?
My next best is Coventry away at Stoke, drawn a bet at 6-5. Again, I think Coventry, as we've made very clear over this pod and the pods last week, are a team that we're very willing to get behind. I think the drop-off at the back end of last season has probably been factored in too much into expectations for this season, where it was understandable off the back of that harrowing FA Cup semi-final defeat against Manchester United. Season-on-season progression for Cov, a side who are really strong, and I think will start the season strong and will be big contenders for promotion against a Stoke side who it's hard to get particularly excited about their business so far this summer. I don't really see why. Yes, I know they've got home advantage, but Coventry feel to me like they're coming into the campaign looking 10, 15, 20 points better over the course of the season. So for them to be outsiders on opening day, albeit the price has gone a little bit, still they look to me like a team that we have to get behind and get on side.
Yeah, my next best is Blackpool to beat Crawley in League One. At Crawley, 21-20 with AK bets. Now, Blackpool fans screaming right now. Why would you back us away from home? We were so bad away from home last season. Completely undermined our strong home form. There's something inherently broken with Neil Critchley's Blackpool away from home. I don't agree with that. I don't think that has to be the case this season, even with the same manager, the same style of play, the same players. I think there's a chance that could change, that they could get a different energy around the place. And I think this is the best possible fixture to basically change that feeling. To win on opening day away from home is a massive chance for Blackpool to basically change the narrative around them that seems to have set in amongst the fan base, that they're going to be boring this season, they're going to be either worse than last season because Dembele's not there, or the same as last season, and if you're staying the same, you're probably going backwards, all that sort of stuff. I haven't said much yet about Blackpool and Neil Critchley because I've nailed my colours to the mast in the past. Clearly they were a little underwhelming last season. They underachieved a little last season. I think some people are being a bit over-dramatic about the situation. I think for Crawley, this could be a real shock to the system. Moving up to League One after amazing, incredible playoff campaign, but broadly a team that was not one of the better teams in League Two last season, that have lost the majority of the players that won them the playoffs, and a load of players that have joined with no pedigree at this level whatsoever. I think this might be a shock to the system for them because while Blackpool, I admit, it's not looking very sexy right now. And yeah, we predicted them to drop a few places, and I'm not arguing with that. I still think they will be sturdy, well-drilled, physically strong, because it's broadly the same group as last season. They know each other's games. They've played together for over 12 months at this point. Crawley have been patched up and put together over the last few weeks, I just think Blackpool are going to be much more ready to hit the ground running. They have a perfectly good starting 11, even without Dembele, of Grimshaw, Casey, Pennington and Husband, back three, CJ Hamilton and Coulson at wing-backs, Norman, Evans, Carey in midfield, Jordan Rhodes and Ashley Fletcher up front, against a Crawley side that's difficult to predict their starting 11, but when you see the team that they played in their final pre-season friendly, it just does not look like a League One team to me. So Blackpool at 21-20 is my next best. I haven't said anything about goal scorers on this pod so far. As you mentioned, I've written up a goal scorer, a pick for each division and a Trixie on the Long Shot newsletter this week. I am just going to flag up one name to look out for, 2 p.m. on Saturday. One name to look out for.
Okay.
Charlton Athletics, Tyrese Campbell.
Yeah. Looking very sharp in pre-season, I hear.
4 goals in pre-season.
The Andreas Pereira pick this one.
4 goals in pre-season. Campbell is a winger previously, but Charlton don't play wingers. So when he plays for Charlton, he's going to be playing up top. And by all accounts, he looks, as is often the case with young players around his age, physically stronger, more sturdy, more confident. He's finished well in pre-season. He is expected to start. All the Charlton fans I've asked for a starting 11, Campbell starts.
How many have you asked?
They're all anonymous. But I've asked... Well,
I didn't ask for their name.
We've got about 5 on NTT20 squad.
Fine.
I've got a few other ins as well.
Yeah.
I think it's worth looking out 2 p.m. Saturday for Tyrese Campbell. If his name is on the Charlton team sheet and if he is being priced up more like a winger than a striker, I'll be jumping on.
Nice.
Anything else to say?
Nothing. Just thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you for listening and watching. Do let us know what you think about any of these selections, and do join us every single Thursday from now until the end of May for the weekly betting show sponsored by AK Bets. We are really looking forward to the season. We'll be keeping a close eye on the many season-long picks that we've made here today, and hopefully we can reflect on some good opening weekend picks as well. Join us next Thursday on the betting show. Thank you very much for listening, and go well.